What's up, everybody? It's your boy Sterling from ENT, and it's been a while, but welcome back to ENT Basketball. This is where it all started, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, for this channel, it's kind of taken a backseat recently to the ENT Fantasy Football channel. And what other video to bring us back to this ENT Basketball channel than some news from your boy's favorite team, the LA Clippers. Now, this video is obviously being made because the Clippers recently just signed John Wall. We'll kind of take a step back for a second because John Wall, it kind of seemed like from the start, the marriage between him and the Rockets was never really going to work. John Wall got traded to the Rockets in a time where the Rockets, it was just a weird time for their franchise. Like when John Wall first started playing for them, they still had James Harden. They had like Boogie Cousins. They had a bunch of guys who were just kind of, it was just a weird time for the Rockets. It was a weird time for their franchise where it was looking like they were moving more towards a rebuild. And so there was kind of like a mutual agreement sort of on both sides that John Wall, for him, and specifically for the Rockets as well, it was just kind of better. Like, John Wall, you could just relax, stay on the bench. You don't really need to play the season because we're just going to let our young guys develop. We're going to let Kevin Porter Jr. shine. We're going to let Jalen Green shine in his rookie year. Alperen Sengun. Like, we have these young players who we're trying to let them shine and get minutes to develop for the future of our franchise. And unfortunately, John Wall just didn't fit into that for them. And so we get to this offseason right now currently, and it sounded like they were going to buy him out. And that ended up happening, and so they reached an agreement on a buyout. And so there was a couple suitors for John Wall in the free agency market, and it's come to be official that the Clippers have signed John Wall. So I don't think all the contract details are out officially, but it's going to be the very minimum, like the veterans minimum, because first of all, that's kind of what the Clippers are going to have to pay him. They don't have that much open money to just go out and spend right now with a lot of the guys they're paying. They also just paid Zubac an extension, and so for him to come onto the Clippers on a small contract like that is great. It's perfect for the Clippers, in my opinion, because the Clippers for years now have been missing just that, a point guard, a true point guard who's going to come in, slow the game down, make things easier for the other scorers. And John Wall, the Clippers aren't going to be getting like prime John Wall, obviously. John Wall, he's not going to be as much of a downhill threat as he once was. He's not going to be as explosive as he once was. But the Clippers are going to put John Wall in a situation where his strengths are going to help the team. And the Clippers in recent years have seemed to do that. With guys who have been making a lot of money on other teams, they come to the Clippers in a lesser role and they shine. Guys like Nicolas Batum, people were saying Nicolas Batum was done. People were writing Nicolas Batum off. He was on the Charlotte Hornets, kind of just rotting on the bench for a couple seasons. And he comes to the Clippers, they put him in a role where he can shine, play off the ball, shoot the three ball, which is what he does great, make an extra pass. He's a great passer. And so the Clippers put him in a situation where he came to the Clippers and shined. Another example is Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson was on the Pistons making a lot of money in a big role where he was like primary ball handler, like creating shots off the dribble, stuff like that. And he comes to the Clippers, takes a lesser role. Now he's kind of, he sets up plays. He's still like the point guard, but he's not the main ball handler, right? He comes into a situation on the Clippers where he can kind of play off the ball, catch and shoot, which in that playoff run 2 years ago, that great stretch of his was because of his catch and shoot ability and how he was able to play off the ball and complement the other players. And so when John Wall comes to the Clippers, it's going to be similar to that, I think, because we're not going to see John Wall running full speed up the court, doing 360 spinning layups like he was in Washington in his prime. But John Wall, he's going to come to the Clippers and be impactful. He's going to come in, he's going to be able to control the offense, slow things down. This has arguably been the piece that the Clippers have been missing, is a point guard who can come in and slow the game down, control the game. In the bubble, the series that the Clippers blew a 3-1 lead to the Nuggets, this was a thing that I noticed the Clippers really, really needed, because the Clippers were up and the Nuggets would just have these runs, and it was like the Clippers just couldn't get any shots up. It was like Marcus Morris would just be taking stupid shots. And if we would have had a veteran point guard, a smart, high IQ point guard, I think that's going to be a great, great piece to the Clippers, and he's going to have players around him that are going to complement him as well, right? He's not going to have to come in and be like prime defense John Wall, because John Wall was a very, very good defender a few years ago. Now, unfortunately, he's had some injuries. He's missed a lot of time. He's getting up there in age. He's not the defender that he once was, but on the Clippers, he's not going to have to do that. He's not going to have to guard the number one perimeter player on the other team. He's not going to be having to guard even the second best perimeter player on the other team. So he's going to be hit on defense. He's probably just going to be guarding like 3-and-D players on the other team, realistically. And he's just going to be in a situation where he can do and excel at what he does best. For the Clippers, it's a really low risk, high reward situation because John Wall most likely is going to be getting paid the minimum by the Clippers, and it's just going to be a 1-year deal. So if for whatever reason things don't seem to work out, it's no big deal at all. Like, we literally just signed this guy for a minimum deal, a guy who has been an All-NBA player before. He's a 5-time All-Star. He's been the best player on great playoff teams before. And so I think he's going to come to the Clippers. I think he's going to buy in. This is his best chance to get a championship that he's had in his whole career. And so I'm hoping John Wall will come here, buy into this system, buy into this team, and I'm very excited for that. I'm very, very, very excited for that. The Clippers are going to be deep this season, and we're getting healthy, and so we just brought back Zubac on it's a team-friendly deal, in my opinion. I feel like Zubac is underrated as a defensive anchor, and even on the offensive end too. And we'll see how the rest of the offseason goes for the Clippers, but with this John Wall move, I'm very excited. Thank you guys so much for watching. I just wanted to come on here and give some quick thoughts about this John Wall signing. If you guys are interested in fantasy football, if you don't know about my fantasy football channel, I'll leave a link in the description. It's called ENT Fantasy Football. We talk about fantasy football, normal football, whatever. And yeah, go down below, like and subscribe, comment. If you wanted John Wall to go to another team, if you think he's going to be good on the Clippers, comment what you think about John Wall. And without further ado, I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.